Mary had a little man.
The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Help is on the way.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
Overnight, President-elect Donald Trump doubled down, saying there will be no deal unless Congress extends or eliminates the debt ceiling. This after an 11th-hour deal backed by Trump failed badly on the House floor, as a whopping 38 Republicans defied him and voted against it.
The bill is not passed.
That Republican deal would have temporarily funded the government through March and provided $110 billion in disaster aid. It also meant a last-minute Trump demand, raising the limit on how much the government can borrow for 2 years. But more than 3 dozen Republicans refused to go along with it.
Because you never have any ounce of self-respect to go out and campaign saying you're going to balance the budget, and then you come in here and pass $110 billion unpaid for.
Before that happened, Congress had been poised to vote on a spending deal with bipartisan support. That is until Elon Musk, the world's richest man and increasingly one of Trump's closest advisors, started attacking it earlier this week, arguing it was filled with wasteful spending. Then Trump weighed in with an entirely different demand: to raise or eliminate entirely the so-called debt ceiling that limits how much money the federal government can borrow. Lifting that debt ceiling would make it possible for Trump to borrow and spend more when he becomes president. As President-elect Trump told me, if we don't get that, then we're going to have a shutdown.
We will regroup and we will come up with another solution.
He's not the president. What do you mean we don't have a deal? Who do they think is going to sign the CR? Who do they think is going to sign this bill if it passes? If and when it passes the House, and then if it goes to the Senate. And it might not just be one. Now they're talking about Plan C. Last night, 38 Republicans. I mean, like, you talk about get your own house in order. Holy crap. 38 members of Donald Trump's own party. These are like, these are people who were spawned by the Tea Party. You remember the Tea Party where government spending was out of control and the debt had to be paid down and they wanted fiscal responsibility, and they downshifted into, well, we're just against the Obamacare. We're just against the ACA. Remember that? And they had Obama's face like a witch doctor with a bone through his nose. These are them. And they don't want to raise the debt limit, and they don't want to suspend the debt limit, and they don't want to extend the debt limit. They don't want to spend money we don't have. So my question for them is, why are you a Republican? Why? Because that is all Republicans ever do. Every single solitary time you needed fiscal responsibility, you had to go to the Democrats to get it. Oh, yeah. It's been like this since the 1980s. It's been like this through Ronald Reagan. It's been like this through W. It's been like this through this Trumpy dude. You know, I mean, honestly, every single time it's time to, fix the economy. Every single time it's time to pay down the debt, pay down the deficit. You have to have a Democrat to do it. But set that aside for a brief moment, because we'll go over it. We'll give you the actual history of what Republicans have done to the economy versus what Democrats have done for the economy. And the difference is pretty stark. But why is Donald Trump saying then we're going to have a shutdown as if he is the president? Does he not realize that Joe Biden is giving interviews to, podcasters, to smaller media venues, and basically saying, what he needs to say to Democrats to keep us, informed and keep fighting for what we know is right and good for this country. What we know is, the better fiscal plan for this country. What we know is more moral. What we know is, how to govern with grace and dignity and integrity versus this. This man isn't even president. He won't be president until February. I wish. Well, I mean, if the government's shut down, how do we have an inaugural? I don't know. How do we convene the Congress? How do we, do a January 6th? How do we have any of these things happen? Not really sure. But I don't really think the government's going to shut down. I didn't yesterday, and I don't today. So, put money where my mouth is if you, want to get to be very, very rich like Elon. Yeah, right. Okay, so set that aside for a brief moment because where we are is where we're going. Where we are is a chaotic mess of massively different messages coming from the unelected presidents of the United States. Now, Donald Trump will be the elected president of the United States come January 20th. Elon Musk never will be. Elon Musk never can be. Okay, he was born in South Africa. He cannot be the president of the United States. Rand Paul, which is, okay, so here's the connection between what Elon Musk is saying and Rand Paul and the libertarian thing. If you really want to know what the plan is, what the plan looks like, what Vivek and Elon are working off of, you need to read the Cato Institute's version of Project 2025, because in it actually explains that Elon and Vivek are going to get rid of things that we have now that have served us, that are there for us, that are there for our children, that are there for science, that are there for cancer research, that are there for the vets, that are there. And they want to get rid of those things. And those things are listed in the Cato Institute's report that is what they're working off of. And so some of the things they want to get rid of, obviously, this is a no-brainer if you really sit and think about it for a brief moment. Not just TRICARE, not just the ACA, which, every single Tea Party, Freedom Cracker member, those were the 38 that voted against this thing last night. They hate the ACA. They are in Congress because they hate the ACA. And so Cato Institute's thing is supposed to be working on getting rid of the ACA. And here you are saying to them, raise the debt ceiling. They're like, wait a minute, that wasn't in the Cato. That's not in the libertarian theme. That's not in the handbook. What are you doing? That's why they revolted yesterday, just in case it was hard for you to understand why they would revolt. That's why they revolted, okay? Now, this Plan C that's about to happen, I don't know. They said this morning, but it's now afternoon. It's now 3 o'clock Eastern time. That's Washington, D.C. time. So Mike Johnson said, we'll do it, Plan C early in the morning, on Friday. Well, it's Friday. It's 3 o'clock. They haven't done it. But their plan now is to break this thing into 3 parts. Their plan is to do the omnibus package with a CR, okay? A continuing resolution that pays everything until March 14th. And then they'll do a separate, because they need to add money. They need to add money to what is already in the budget to pay the bills now, right? They need to add money for the disaster relief package, $100 billion there. And they need to add money for, what's the $31 billion for? They need to add money for that. So, they're going to split it into 3 different bills. Now, how are you going to get 3 different bills through the Senate? Okay, you would need, the way that the Senate rules work, it takes days to introduce a bill, let alone 3 bills. It's a ridiculous thing. So maybe they will actually do the 3 bills and then package them into 1 bill and then vote on that. I don't know. But I can tell you this. There is no raising of the debt ceiling in this Plan C bill because you would lose, again, 38 Republicans. Now, the place that we're at now, where it's crunch time, people, right, where everything has to, go. Oh, the farm bill. Thank you. They have to do this. They have to do this with, the fast track thing. They need 2/3 of the House to do this. 2/3. That's 71 Democrats. Don't you think they really ought to be talking to the Democrats? Because they're not.
all things Randy at RandyRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Go.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
What we're doing right now is to continue to double down on the things that are destroying the republic. We are going to increase the debt ceiling, not just $4 trillion, that's false. We have spent $4.7 trillion in additional debt in the last 19 months. We're going to increase the debt by $5 trillion. That's what's going to happen right here by Republicans, increasing the debt $5 trillion. And what are you doing in the same bill? $110 billion unpaid for. Because you never have any ounce of self-respect to go out and campaign saying you're going to balance the budget, and then you come in here and pass $110 billion unpaid for. On top of the $200 billion you did for WEP, you guys won't agree with that, but the fact of the matter is $330 billion. Congratulations, you've added to the debt since you were given the majority again on November 5th. It's embarrassing. It's shameful. Yes, I think this bill is better than it was yesterday on certain respects, but to take this bill yesterday and congratulate yourself because it's shorter in pages, but increases the debt by $5 trillion is asinine. And that's precisely what Republicans are doing. I'm absolutely sickened by a party that campaigns on fiscal responsibility and has the temerity to go forward to the American people and say, you think this is fiscally responsible. It is absolutely ridiculous.
So is that a Democrat? Is that a Democrat? No, that's not a Democrat. That is Republican House member from Texas, no less, Chip Roy, screaming at his own colleagues yesterday about how they keep on adding to the deficit and not paying for anything. There are never any pay-goes in there. You know, Donald Trump's tax cut, which was $1.7 trillion, was paid for by anybody? Joe Biden. That's right, Joe Biden. Joe Biden took the deficit down by $1.7 trillion, and people don't even know that, nor do they want to know that because it won't stay in their head next to all the lies that they've, assembled in there. There's just no more room at the inn for the truth in their half brains. So, I mean, it's just so amazing that 38 of the Republican Party members yesterday killed the bill that Elon Musk, who's unelected, was never elected. He's simply a shadow president who loves the spotlight, which is ironic, an oxymoron, a dichotomy. What is that? A shadow president who likes the spotlight. I mean, so, okay. The Cato Institute. The Cato Institute has a white paper to the Doge bags, right? And it's a guide. It's literally 66 pages long. I spent, pre-show reading through a whole chunk of it. I especially fast-forwarded through some of it, and I wanted to focus on what do they think about, Social Security. What do they think about, Medicare? What do they think about TRICARE, veterans, insurance? What do they think about NASA? Oh, well. Oh, all right. Come here, children. I have a Christmas story to tell you, okay? It's almost as good as It's a Wonderful Life, and it's just as evil. So the Doge bags want to get rid of NASA and kind of give it to Elon. That's number one. That's a no-brainer. That's the one I was driving at in the first segment. But when you fast forward into the Social Security thing, I'll read it to you, okay? Shrink Social Security. Oh, yes. It's called Shrink Social Security. And what they want to do, they call Social Security a Ponzi scheme, and they say it's no good, and that paying benefits that were promised to earlier generations, is just a ridiculous way to run the thing. It shouldn't be run this way. They say Social Security's finances are unsustainable. It's a fiscal burden, and the CBO is saying, well, what they would need to do is raise the payroll tax. They would have to raise the payroll tax by 4.3 percentage points. But not necessarily. If you raise the threshold for earnings, because at a certain point in your earnings, per year, I think it's $161,000. I could be wrong. I always get this wrong, but it's around that neighborhood. After that, after $161,000, you no longer pay into the FICA thing. You no longer pay into Social Security. You don't have. Now, if we just raised the income threshold and said, I don't know, people making up to $400,000 seems to be, the cutoff for everything, $400,000, right? That they still pay in, we'd be fine. We'd be fine. But the Cato Institute has decided that what they want to do is say Social Security is a fixed amount. You get this and that's it, and there's no cost of living adjustments at all. You raise the age to 70 and slowly start phasing it out for younger generations. I swear to God, you can't make this crap up. And they're talking about how the Social Security Trust Fund is a significant contributor to the imbalance in our fiscal lives. However, we had a president that actually was able to balance the budget, that was able to pay down the deficit. We've had a couple presidents that almost eliminated it completely. That would be Bill Clinton, who balanced the budget and eliminated the debt, right? Actually was able to do it. And I don't know, last I checked, Social Security is still paying out benefits to people. So we didn't have to get rid of it in order to accomplish that goal, which is what they say they're for. No, they just want to steal is what it is. So they're going to poison the thought about Social Security. Okay, so there's that. Then TRICARE, we got to get rid of TRICARE. That's totally X'd out, along with NASA, that's X'd out. It's unbelievable what they're coming for. And what cracks me up, besides for the fact that I'm watching guys like Chip Roy have to eat a crap sandwich, and then Donald Trump won't even give him a glass of water to wash it down with, because he's on platforms like X and Truth Social saying Chip Roy has no talent. Chip Roy needs to be primaried. And you know what? Elon Musk, he's got the money to do it, and that's why they're scared of him. Why are they scared of Elon Musk? Well, they'll tell you it's because he has the ear of Donald Trump. No. Don't make any mistake on this one, okay? They are scared of Elon Musk because Elon Musk has the money to primary every single one of those 38 members that voted against raising the debt ceiling so he could get his $5 trillion worth of tax cuts, okay? This whole exercise, you know what this was about? As far as I can tell, this is my opinion. This was about knowing what you have to work with in the Republican Party. This was about outing the members who wouldn't go down this bad road with Elon Musk. Okay, Elon's got the money to primary people, but he wasn't really sure who he would have to primary. Because, we're going to start with the midterm elections January 21st. Now he knows he's got 38 House Republicans that he needs to primary. He needs to pony up money, and he needs to run somebody that likes him.
Call in, connect. To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844.
Did you get that? Write that down.
We've never seen this before in American history, where a billionaire who obviously contributed a lot to the campaign, a billionaire donor, is now calling the shots with the majority party and telling the majority party that they will do what he wants, and if they don't, implying he's going to spend his money and encourage people to run against them.
I don't think he implied. He outright said that he would primary them. They would face political ruin if they did not.
Political ruin.
Can I ask you, though, because, we're talking about the leader of the Republican Party. We're talking about Donald Trump, Elon Musk. We're hearing from Democratic leaders here. President Biden has been very quiet on this. Are you surprised that he has not weighed in more?
Right now, he's just watching the Republicans eat each other alive.
Yeah.
And the Republicans are in charge in the House. They have to initiate the spending bill that gets us this ongoing resolution to keep the government open. Those are just the laws. And right now, the Republicans can't get their act together to make that happen.
And you don't think President Biden should weigh in?
Do you think he's going to help the Republicans negotiate a deal? I don't see where that comes from.
Well, just necessarily more on like what his party should do, how Democrats should handle this, their view of
we
this.
We
He
are
is still
handling
the president.
this. We are saying to the Republicans, we spent months negotiating a deal with you. And there are parts in it that we didn't like. There are parts in it you didn't like. That's the nature of legislation in this place. But we actually cut a deal that's going to be the continuing resolution, keeps the government open until next March so you can get yourselves organized when you own the House, the Senate, and the White House, and you can put the full budget on the table. That sounds to me like a pretty damn good deal that was available to the Republicans. And yet, here it was going forward. We were all talking about, oh, the vote, will it be at 11 o'clock this morning or 2 o'clock this afternoon? We'll get this done. And the answer is Elon Musk gets on X at 4:30 in the morning, and the whole deal shattered.
The whole deal shattered by an unelected, annoying little, douchebag. So obviously it's about the money. Obviously it's about the Republicans' fear, their cowardice, and their literal terrifying, they're terrified about a primary. They're terrified that they would actually have to go into their districts and make sure the people who voted for them last time know why they should vote for them this time. They're afraid to do the work. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's really kind of amazing that Elon Musk sends fear into the heart of Republicans simply because he's threatening to primary them and he has money to do it. I mean, really? And it's true because, listen, this is a Republican from Georgia. I don't know if you know him yet. His name's Rich McCormick, but he is a Republican from Georgia.
Yesterday, everybody said, oh, this is horrible, but we didn't even bring it to the floor because everybody knew it was going to be defeated. Then today, we launched this bill without talking to really anybody in the conference about what we changed. And then I was accused of surprising people, of blindsiding people by my opinion when I was never consulted in the first place. This is a leadership challenge that Mike Johnson has to define himself with. Are you going to get the right input from the right people to get this bill passed? Because quite frankly, you can't do it in a vacuum. And it doesn't matter because quite frankly, last time I checked, Elon Musk doesn't have a vote in Congress. Oh. Now, he has influence, and he'll put pressure on us to do whatever he thinks the right thing is for him. But I have 760,000 people that voted for me to do the right thing for them. And that's what matters to me.
Well, good for you, because there are very few people who will say what Rich McCormick, a Republican from Georgia, just said there. He just elucidated, he just enlightened every single body who doesn't understand what Elon Musk's, why they're afraid of Elon Musk. And it's not because Elon Musk is a doughy, government subsidy munching little, annoying creature. It's not because they fear having to have a meal with him and being seriously bored out of their minds listening to him talk about, him. No, it's because he's got a lot of money and he can throw that money into their district on television, on cable, on radio, on all of the places where people in the district go to get, political information and news, which is really just a pack of lies. It's the conservative media literally lying about, like yesterday, they lied about RFK Stadium. RFK Stadium is defunct. You understand that, right? So now the Commanders are playing in Maryland. They're at a different stadium in Maryland. And so the RFK Stadium is just sitting there. And all this bill did, no money changed hands in this bill, okay? But Elon Musk said it did because he lied. Or he's just so stupid that he didn't even bother to look it up, okay? But no money changed hands. It was just a transfer of the land upon which the dead RFK Stadium sits to Washington, D.C. so that they could redevelop that land. That's all it was. But Elon Musk was very busy, getting things wrong. And I don't know if he was getting them wrong or if he was lying. I don't care. Either way, people believe this moron. I mean, and somebody asked me yesterday, do I think I'm smarter than Elon? Oh, hell yes, I'm smarter than Elon Musk. Elon Musk knows one trick, okay? And that's getting government subsidies for failed businesses. It's like Donald Trump. He's not a smart businessman either. He knows one trick, and that's selling you that he's a great businessman, selling you, telling you, lying to you, being a con man about his fraudulent businesses, telling you that he is the best businessman and packaging it in a television show that ran for quite a few years to the point where people believe it. That's it. These people are seriously, without the government, they cannot exist. Elon Musk can't exist as Elon Musk without government subsidies. I just don't know why people are so in the dark about that. They're not clued in on how people are fleecing us. But here's the thing that really kills me. So when we were pre-election, people were so livid about the idea that somebody, it was the culture war thing, that somebody might be getting something that they aren't getting. Like somebody who is working under the radar, working under the table, doing a really grueling job and getting the most tiny little pay to do it because they're not here on a working visa. They're not here, legally. They're not here, with permission. And so they have to do whatever they have to do in order to support their family. And people are terrified that that person might be, sending their kid to public school and that their kid is getting an education. And that makes them livid. Somebody is getting something that they don't deserve. But here's the truth. The billionaires are going to take everything from you. Everything. TRICARE, Social Security, space travel. It's all going to be privatized, and all for the benefit of the very, very wealthy, the very, very elite, the very, very. So, and they're going to do it by creating an enormous amount of chaos for us. And so we're going to be like in stormy seas, rocking back and forth, trying not to get seasick. And they're just going to take it all.
This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
Your view here is that Elon Musk is in charge, not Donald Trump.
I think that's pretty clear. Look at the timeline on how this unfolded, and look at what was ultimately proposed. It was not Donald Trump's proposal that went to the House. It was Elon Musk's proposal. Looks like to me
but Trump did throw in the demand
one.
there for the debt ceiling, which was not something that Elon Musk. They opposed essentially the deal that Mike Johnson had negotiated with Democrats, but for different reasons. Elon Musk didn't like everything that was included in it. Trump wanted to add the debt ceiling.
But we actually are now getting our first taste. This is it, live and in living color, about what it means to have this Doge right out here and what that's going to mean. And that's where Elon Musk's fingerprints are all over this. Because, for example, what this bill says is, let's get rid of funding for research on pediatric cancer. Let's get rid of funding for research on early detection of cervical cancer and breast cancer. Let's get rid of funding for research on children with Down syndrome and on sickle cell anemia. Let's get rid of those things so that we can make way for tax cuts for billionaires. That is Elon Musk's notion of efficiency.
That's exactly right. That's what's in the Cato white paper for Doge, for the Doge bags. Like I said, I could show you this. I mean, here, I'll put, if you could put this on my screen up there. I can show you. This is actually it. Okay, Doge's important mission is the first thing over here on the left, right? And then bureaucracy and the administrative state, which they call the deep state. Regulation, and then spending cuts and tax reforms. And under spending cuts and tax reforms is shrink Social Security, slash tax rates. Slash tax rates? What? Reduce federal health spending. Streamline national security spending. Expel the federal government from higher education, cut federal K through 12 education spending. I mean, it's literally the gutting of the government that works for ordinary people in favor of giving everything to billionaires and letting them have their way with you. Because, of course, they're billionaires. They know better than you do about how to get by. They know better than you do how to educate your children. They know better than you do about how to, design a healthcare system. I mean, it's amazing. So when you scroll through this, okay, and you look, which was what was on the screen here, and it gets to the Social Security reform portion of it, which if you see it's highlighted in yellow. You know how it gets that way? It gets that way because you can bring up the document and then you hit on your keyboard, and everyone can do this. It's been a thing for almost 20 years now. You hit the control button on your keyboard and the letter F, control F, and then you type into this box that pops up here. You see that? The search box pops up for you, and you type in what I did, Social Security, and it'll take you right to the section that deals with their plan to shrink Social Security, which is what it's called. And it says in these bullet points here, if you read through them, and you don't really have to, you just know what it's going to say, don't you? But it does. It says, slow the growth of future benefits. Under the current system, initial benefits are adjusted based on wage growth, which typically outpaces inflation, and this causes initial Social Security benefits to rise faster than necessary. Okay, so for everybody out there that's on Social Security and you're on a fixed income, you're getting too much money. They need to slow that gravy train that you're on down. My God, $1,200 a month to support your entire life is way too much. And for those of you who actually, saw a check for $3,000 of Social Security benefits a month, you're the rich bastard. You're the one. You're the one causing all the contretemps here. You're the problem. You are. And you do not deserve a COLA. You don't. Just because you worked your whole damn life, made a nice living, and now you're on a fixed income and it's $3,000. That's way too much money. Do you know that's like what Elon Musk makes in half a second? Do you know that? But okay, it's too much money. So we have to get rid of those COLA increases. They also want to get rid of NASA. They also want to get rid of the FDA. It's in here. They want to get rid of cancer cure, investigatory, government, the national, the NIH, the National Institutes for Health. They want to get rid of that. They want to get rid of the Food and Drug Administration. They want to get rid of the State Department. Good luck, Marco. Good luck, little Marco. You're going to give up a Senate seat for Laura Trump to sit there, and then you're going to end up in a bankrupt State Department? They want to give up, obviously, Bill Clinton, who balanced the budget and was able to do Section 8 housing vouchers to help people pay their freaking rent. They want to get rid of that. They want to get rid of the Department of Housing and Urban Development, and they want to get rid of every other agency that uses housing assistance to help people. They want to, the Violence Against Women Act, that's got to go. That's got to go. That's one of Biden's things, okay, that he did in 1994. It's got to go. Of course, education spending, we just went over that. That's got to go. Head Start as part of that also has to go. School lunches have to go. NASA has to go. The student loan program has to go. Healthcare on the exchanges, the ACA, that has to go. International security programs, that has to go. The International Security and Development Cooperation Act, it bundles together a whole lot of authorizations for international security programs, including funding and regulation for arms sales to allies. They want to get rid of that. They want to get, and by the, I don't even want to go there. I mean, it's like a whole long laundry list of things that help us. So if Elon Musk's subsidies are tens of billions of dollars, so are ours. Think about that as our subsidies. He got his, we get ours. But he wants to knock out ours to take even more for him. And the way that he wants to do it is by depleting the government of everything that works for ordinary people and giving tax cuts to him and privatizing all of these functions to people who might be, interested in owning them. And it's really a nefarious plan. It has nothing to do with democracy. It has nothing to do with ordinary people. It has nothing to do with balancing the budget. And we know that because, listen, here's the thing. Obama, I'm just going to lay out some facts for you, okay? In 1980, when Ronald Reagan started this trickle-down theory and told you, you're getting wet, and it's not me peeing on you at all. It's, it's all this money that's just trickling down from the very wealthy. Because I guess their pockets were so stuffed with cash they couldn't keep it in there anymore. And they hadn't heard about, bank accounts or Swiss bank accounts or Panama bank accounts or any of those things. So their pockets were overflowing, and it was trickling down to your table. Yeah, that did not happen. That was the ride we were on for a really stinking long time. And then it wasn't until Bill Clinton in the early 90s who said, listen, I think we can do better. I think we can balance the budget and not on the backs of the working class. And he actually accomplished it. He actually did. And then it was time for him to hand off to W. And he handed off a nice economy, a balanced budget. And what did they do? They spent millions, trillions on wars. Trillions on wars. Blaming Bill Clinton for the wars that they now had to wage. It was Bill Clinton's fault. 1998. He knew where Osama bin Laden was. He didn't take him out. It's his fault. This whole thing, this 20-year to come war that's going to spend trillions and trillions of dollars is Bill Clinton's fault. I swear they played that game, and people fell for it. They started questioning my patriotism, which is just hysterical. Either you're with us or you're against us. And people were accusing me of not being, somebody who loved my country. It was very sad, very sick. Okay. And we lived like that until the very end of W. And then just the fait accompli, he just crashed the economy, deregulated the banking. They blame Bill Clinton for that too. And literally banks came to people who had $350,000 houses, which was a nice house, maybe 3-4 bedrooms, a couple bathrooms in there, nice kitchen, and said, your house, your $350,000, it's now worth $700,000. You should take the money out. Take the money out. Live large. You could live. You don't have to have, some crappy situation. You could live like a millionaire. All you got to do is borrow against your house. People did it, and then the banks came, whoop, foreclosed, took the houses. This little thing that's going on with the corporations buying houses, it's still happening. I saw a report today on ABC because they don't want to talk about Trump anymore. It's very interesting. All this is going on, and yet I watched ABC, the streaming version of ABC. Not a word this morning about anything that was going on in Washington. Now, it was amazing, but they were talking about Tampa and how these corporate raiders were coming in and buying all these houses in Tampa, like the whole marketplace, and then renting them, and how it was a good deal for people.
Mary had a little lamb.
The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Help is on the way.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show. Turn up your mind.
It was a Republican drafted bill that was posted by House Republicans. And then one or two puppet masters weigh in, and the extreme MAGA Republicans decide to do the bidding of the wealthy, the well-off, the well-connected, millionaires and billionaires, not working class people all across America. The bill that is before us today is just part of an effort to shut down the government. Unless we, as representatives of the American people, bend to the will of just a handful of millionaires and billionaires, because the provisions in this bill, particularly as it relates to suspending the debt ceiling for 2 years, are designed to bring about a massive tax cut, unpaid for wealthy donors and for wealthy corporations, for millionaires and billionaires who clearly some in this Congress are working for. And this bill is validation for it. Now, what's been interesting to me is that for decades, the Republican Party has lectured America about fiscal responsibility, about the debt and the deficit. It's always been phony. This bill proves it. The one thing we do know is that every time a Republican president comes into office, the one thing we can count on Republicans to do is to pass a massive tax cut for wealthy Americans, and in the process, stick working class Americans with the bill.
Exactly. That's exactly what happens. It happens over and over and over and over again. It always is the Republican agenda, and it's the entirety for a whole lot of Republican presidents. The entirety of their agenda is a tax break for the very wealthy. At least in modern times, that's what it's become. It used to be start a war or two, get the defense contractors in on the, the gravy train, feed them that way, and then give a tax cut, a tax break to the corporations that made the most profit during that period of time. Well, they sort of kind of wore us out with the wars. And I got to say, I think they ran out of places to have their wars. I think they literally ran out of continents upon which to wage war that America would say, yeah, we have to do that, and rally around and fly American flags off the antennas, which we don't even have anymore, of our cars, and start questioning the patriotism of our neighbors. I think they ran out of places for which they could, develop this hatred, this animosity. And so now it's just about the tax cuts. That's it. That's all it's about. And they've run out of money to give the tax cuts. So they put it on the tab. Well, the problem with putting it on the tab is they put it on the tab so often that they hit a debt ceiling. They hit an actual number that is so unconscionable that we as a country say, you can't go past that number unless you start paying for this crap. You can't do that. We service our debt. It's like $1 trillion every couple of months just in interest on this debt. Now, what's fascinating is, I'll work backwards. Okay, when Obama left and handed it to Donald Trump, Obama had a deficit. He did. And what he was able to do was take it from trillions of dollars, trillions with a T, down to about half a trillion, 500 billion. So he was able to take the deficit down to a manageable amount of money, $500 billion. Do you know what it was when Trump left? $36 trillion. $36 trillion. I mean, who is fiscally responsible in this conversation? Who is the party that actually looks out for the budget? Who's the party that actually knows how to bring deficits within, an acceptable amount? Or who is it that actually knows how to rescue this country from debacles like HW's, where not only did he wage 2 wars, not only did he open up a tax break for the wealthiest people, not only did he allow banks to run wild, as Trump would say, not only did he allow for, the banking industry to crash, but also the automobile industry to crash. And then the recession that ensued, and he handed it off to Barack Obama and walked out the door. So you had 2 raging wars, deficits off the charts. You had a crashed banking system, a crashed automobile sector, and Obama just knew how to rescue the banking sector, put the guardrails back. He knew how to rescue the automobile sector and put the guardrails back. He knew how to pay down the deficit and rescue this damn economy. And all I heard for the whole 8 years of Obama was, he's not doing it fast enough. And then Donald Trump came in and repeats The same thing. Tax break for the wealthy. Almost 90% of the benefits going to the top 1%. And now the deficit is $36 trillion. And they point at it and say, this is why we cannot do, Head Start. This is why we can't do food stamps. This is why Social Security's got to be reined in. This is why TRICARE is a mistake. This is the fault of Obamacare. They do it over and over and this was really a great speech that Hakeem Jeffries gave last night on the floor. This is going to play you how the Bill Clinton section of it, okay?
Massive tax cuts for the wealthy and the well-off under President Reagan continued into President Bush. Bill Clinton comes to office, inherits a significant deficit, and under his stewardship, President Clinton turns a deficit into a surplus and passes that surplus to President George W. Bush, the so-called party of fiscal responsibility. And once again, we see the same exact playbook. Republicans inherit a surplus.
A surplus.
And they immediately blow it to pass massive tax cuts for the wealthy, the well-off, and the well-connected, not provide relief to working class Americans. A tax cut in 2001, unpaid for, and then a tax cut in 2003, unpaid for. And they continue to run up the debt and the deficit, prosecuting 2 failed wars. The so-called party of fiscal responsibility want to lecture America when your record speaks for itself.
Do you remember? I don't know if you remember. I want to jog your memory if you're old like me, okay? Do you remember what the line was that W and his administration fed to us about why they needed to give another tax cut, why they needed to undo the surplus? Anybody? They told us this. I swear to God, I'll never forget it. They said, the government isn't supposed to make money. This is what they said when Bill Clinton handed them a surplus. Well, that's just wrong. The government isn't supposed to make money. The government isn't supposed to have money. The government's supposed to give the money back to the people, and that's how we got 2 unpaid for tax cuts. That's how we got there. They have an answer for everything.
Things Randi at RandiRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
President Obama comes in after mismanagement related to the prior administration, including helping to trigger the Great Recession, inherits a deficit from a Republican president of $1.5 trillion, as well as the Great Recession. And working under the leadership of President Obama, Democrats in the House and the Senate get the situation turned around, and over an 8-year period of time, reduce the deficit by $1 trillion, from 1.5 trillion to 500 billion. Progress under Democratic leadership as it relates to getting America's fiscal house in order. And then Donald Trump comes to office and again follows the same exact playbook. After failing to take health care away from millions of Americans, the Republicans turned their attention to the GOP tax scam, where 83% of the benefits went to the wealthiest 1%. Why? To subsidize the lifestyles of the rich and shameless. And in the process of doing that, borrow $2.3 trillion added to our debt. Explode the deficit, so-called party of fiscal responsibility. In fact, This debt that we're dealing with, that Democrats are taking seriously, that Republicans have no interest in being responsible around. That's what this 2-year suspension of the debt ceiling is all about. In our nation's 248-year history, 25% of our nation's debt was accumulated during the 4 years of the former president.
What?
25%. How dare you lecture America about fiscal responsibility? Ever.
Ever. Ever. If I still lived in my neighborhood in Brooklyn, he would be my my Congress member. Yeah, because he represents Canarsie, which is where I'm from. I mean, we're very practical people, okay? We live within our means there. We actually don't, keep up with the Joneses as much as, I don't know, Donald Trump and Elon do. However, we're happy people. We love our families. And we live within our means. And that is the school from which Hakeem Jeffries comes. And the idea that Republicans have claimed the mantle of fiscal responsibility is a joke. It's a joke. It would be hysterically funny if it wasn't happening yet again. That figure ought to stay with you throughout any conversation that you're about to have during this holiday festive time. 25% of the total of the debt that we have as a country in the 240-year history of our country was achieved by Donald Trump. One man added a quarter of the debt to our lives. A quarter of it. That's sick. That's just sick. And then Biden comes in and Biden actually reduces the deficit by $1.7 trillion. And nobody even notices. Nobody even cares. Nobody even says, hey, that's what we need to do more of. No, instead, they create this environment in which you think that somebody else is getting something that you didn't get and make you resentful and full of, grievances and hostility and hatred so that they could swoop back in and steal the rest of it. And that's what we're experiencing here. This is what it's going to look like. Now, that said, we have, 7.5 hours until the government shuts down. So, I imagine that something's going to happen in the next few hours, something that will not increase the debt limit because 38 of the Republican Party members who were able to sell you that Tea Party swill during the Obama years won't go for it again. And the reason they don't have to go for it again is because they're in safe districts. See, the 38, if you research the 38 Republicans who bucked their own party last night, who said to Elon Musk, get the hell out of my face, okay? I have nothing to do with you. And when Donald Trump was late to it, because Donald Trump wasn't paying any attention to anything at all, nothing, okay? He wasn't paying attention to this continuing resolution. He's not paying attention to the omnibus bill, which is what the reason why it's 1,547 pages, just so you know, is because it's an omnibus. It funds the entire government. That's why it's so freaking long. This isn't just, a piece of legislation that does any one thing. This is the omnibus spending bill. It's 12 bills in one. That's why it's 1,547 pages. For those people out there that are just too, removed from it all, let's just put it that way, that they don't know why the thing is that long, let alone how to read it or how to look up the parts that you care about so that you can be factually correct. There's very little will in this country to do so. But, okay, that's why I have a job. I'll say that. Because I do that. But the 1,547 pages is because it's an omnibus. It's 12 bills in one. 12. But what Donald Trump, who had nothing to do with those bills at all, what Donald Trump swooped in at the last moment and did was he wanted to seem like he was, somehow involved because Elon was controlling it all. And so at the end he goes, you know what? I want the debt ceiling suspended for 2 years. And if you don't suspend the debt ceiling for 2 years, we haven't got a deal. As if he had the power to veto this, or as if he had the power to sign off on this. He does not. He will, but he does not today. And then this morning, he has to fight with himself. He has to one up himself. So he said, no, now if you don't give me a 5-year suspension of the debt ceiling, we have no deal. Who cares what he says? He's not the person who can veto this bill. He's not the person who can sign up. I mean, this is just so pathetic. It's just so, trust me, whatever passes tonight isn't going to have a suspension of the debt ceiling. It isn't, because those 38 members of the Republican Party will not vote for that. And as it is, they need to fast track this bill, which means they need 290 votes. 71 Democrats have to agree to help them. And they will. You know why? Because they give a damn about soldiers going without pay. 1.3 million active military members not getting a paycheck during Christmas. Because they give a damn about the Library of Congress's cafeteria lady getting a paycheck during Christmas. Because they give a damn about all these essential workers having to show up during Christmas time and going without a paycheck. That's why they will. And then this is all going to happen again in March, when Donald Trump will be able to veto unless he gets an increase in the debt ceiling. And that's where we are.
Clear. Call in, connect. To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844.
All right, we have a half an hour left of the last show of 2024. The next time that we get together, it will be 2025, and I don't know if we'll have a government. And if we do, we only have it if we could keep it for 3 months, because March 14th, we go through all of this all over again. Swear to God. This continuing resolution is only to fund the government through the omnibus spending package. That's why it's 1,500 pages, because it's 12 bills in one. And it only funds those 12 bills till March 14th. And then we get to go through it all over again. The only reason why there's 2 new spending items is because of Helene and I guess it was Hurricane Milton. Was that what it was? We had these 2 unbelievably damaging hurricanes. One beat the crap out of Florida, and the other one just wiped out portions of western North Carolina. And so there needs to be $100 billion worth of disaster relief money in a package. They want to separate that out of the omnibus and have a separate bill just for that. Then they want a separate bill for $31 billion for the farmers, so that the farmers can buy seed and go ahead and plant for next season. Because if farmers can't plant, guess what it does to the price of groceries? Right. Now, don't ask me why they're insisting on having this broken out into 3 separate bills. The continuing resolution to fund the 12 omnibus items at the same level that they're funded at now in the 1,500-page package, and then a separate one for the disaster relief money, and then a separate one for the... I can only guess because they had pitched to their peeps when they voted for them, for the Freedom Crackers and for the, the fiscally responsible Republicans, which is a oxymoron, that they would vote on each of the 12 appropriations bills separately. Well, even if they separate out the disaster relief and the farm bill, they're still lying to you, okay? They're still lying to you, because the omnibus, the 1,500 paid, that is 12 bills. That's all the bills that fund the government. So it's all a ruse. It's a dog and pony show up there right now. And it all happened. It all got thrown into a chaotic mess because a government for the billionaires, by the billionaires, now has a social media platform with which to lie to people, disinform people, and misinform people that they're giving away $3 billion to an NFL sports team, which isn't true. If it was, I would not be happy about it. Just in case you were wondering where I fell on that. But it doesn't. So it's not even worth our time because it's not there. It's like shouting at the wind. All right. Brother David.
Sister. Can you hear me okay?
Uh-huh.
Okay. It's a frosty, fractured, frazzled Friday.
It's 74 and sunny here. Okay.
Okay, well, there you have it.
Yeah.
But climate change is a myth, right?
Right.
Here's the thing. As I've said to the chat room, hi, chat room, I am everything you've just said for the last hour and a half, I totally get, and we have to keep our eyes open and all that. But what concerns me, as you know, I have for the last 2 years worked for a not-for-profit 50-year-old art center that's like the cultural and educational center of
Say
Lawrence.
goodbye to that gig.
Oh, but wait. And the front of the building, it's built like the New York State Theater or Lincoln Center. You know, it's one of those ones that was built at the same time those things were going up, with a great big 3-story double-pane, multi-tiered glass window over the atrium and lobby. And since literally the weekend after the election, we have started to get anti-trans and anti-LGBTQ literature either stuck in the back door of the loading dock.
Yeah, because that's really the major problem America has right now.
Right.
It's 0.2% of the population that identifies as trans, and maybe what 10%? How many? What's the percentage of gay? 10?
Precisely.
Yeah.
But what is deeply disturbing to all of us is that when we were preparing Thanksgiving weekend for the Bazaar, where we empty out all the different places and studios and things in the art center so that local craftsmen and artisans can come sell their wares, and we're walking across the second floor runway, my senior tech, who lives in Topeka and knows from such things as I do from my ACT UP days and our event manager does from her Brooklyn days, looked at the very tallest glass window at the furthest side that was in a direct third-story line across from the parking garage, walk across the street, and went, "What's that?" And it was unmistakably a bullet hole at a place where children and little old ladies and people in wheelchairs and all these different community entities come to learn and practice art.
Well, let me just straighten your ass out, okay? Your problem is not the gun. Your problem is not the bullet. Your problem is the trans.
I love you always and always will. But exactly. And the scariest thing is when we called us, we did, the police out, the policeman said, "Oh, that was probably some kid with a slingshot."
Right. Don't be
and
concerned with that. That's not your problem. The problem
and this is the
not,
kind of thing I'm worried about.
Of course, because your problem is, you work for a not-for-profit. We shouldn't ever have that, especially when it deals with artistic things and craftsmans. Right. We don't support that with our tax dollars, okay? So, that's your first problem. Your second problem is that you got people in there who understand gay and trans, and it has nothing to do with the violence. It has nothing to do with the gun. It has nothing to do with the long gun. It has not, because, look, you got kids in school, okay, and they're on the firing line, so why should you be any different?
And there it is. And in the meantime, something has changed within me. Something is not the same. I'm through with playing by the rules of someone else's game. And I'm going to see Wicked again. And I hope you and everybody listening has as high a holiday as humanly possible, because we really are still all in this.
We deserve a nice holiday. I'm sorry, but we do. We deserve a nice, peaceful holiday. I'm looking at Germany. Did you see what happened over there today?
Yes.
Now, it's interesting that Elon Musk started giving, airtime on his platform to the uber right-wing right? The Nazi Party in Germany. He started like endorsing them. And all of a sudden, there's a terrorist attack where somebody rams a car into the Christmas market in its little town in Germany and takes out 80 people. Listen, but the problem is they only do it because you're trans, and they only do it because you're gay, and they only do it because I'm a Jew, and they only do it because fill in the blank.
Precisely.
Right.
Have a wonderful holiday and Happy New Year. Talk to you next
Happy New
year.
Year. Talk to you next year. I love you like crazy. Thank you.
Love you back.
Bye.
Mwah.
Another year with Brother David. What could be bad? What could be bad? Seriously. The problem isn't the violence. The problem is you're making people violent. You're the problem. Own that.
Clear for fatality. This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
Let's talk about the last 2 years. It was the Democrats who raised the debt ceiling, not the Republicans last time. Many of you voted against it. It was the Democrats who kept over the government, not once, not twice, but every single time we needed to keep the government open, it was the Democrats who kept the government open. More of us voted for it than you. And all I've heard for the last couple of weeks about it, this giant mandate, landslide, trifecta. Put on your big boy pants, pass your own bill. We're only here because you guys can't agree amongst yourselves.
That's right.
So hold on a second. Democrats will keep government open for the American people. We will mediate the disagreements between that side of the room and that side of the room. We will do that for you, but you got to at least invite us to that meeting. So if you want us to solve your problem because you can't agree amongst yourselves, reach out.
Oh! Yes, reach out. Let us know. Just, send us, an email.
I love Moskovitz.
I do too.
Every time he speaks, he makes sense. He's clever. He's
clever.
Smart.
Yeah.
I love him.
I love him too. And he's from here. And Hakeem Jeffries is from where I'm from. So between the two places, I got your back. I got your back, you MAGA freaks. But Merry Christmas to you too. Kevin in D.C.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
And before I run out of time, happy holidays.
Thank you very much. Same to you.
I only put it that way because I know MAGAs want you to say Merry Christmas, so happy holidays.
Oh, okay.
I know you're not a doctor and don't play one on the radio, but with the things you chronicle, with their umpteenth bungling, this time the, government shutdown or something, at one point, Randi, do you blame the public? I know you're supposed to say that the customers know it's wrong and don't blame the voters and whatnot, but I use this analogy. If I put up a 100-foot tall neon blinking sign saying, "Don't enter this area, it's radioactive, it will kill you," and I go the extra length of standing in front of it, passing out flyers with bullet points showing how it will do it, and not only do you go in anyway, but ignore me, call me a communist and other names, and then when you get sick, you got your mouth dropped open like, with a blank stare and a dull look. How can I not blame you? You and countless others have said what is going to happen if these lunatics get in. Some of it had already happened. Some of it we could see in Trump's prior administration. And yet, there seemed to be some selective amnesia, and people voted for this anyway. And one last thing, I can only go by the stats, what I see. If something comes up different, fine. But I can't help but notice, but African Americans voted no for this. They could somehow see it coming. But the majority population, I'll put it that way, voted the other way. And they've been doing that since the civil rights era.
Yes.
They vote for, so what else can I look at? Again, I may be wrong. I don't know every damn thing, but what else can I make of that? But no matter what, the majority population wants the status quo, the caste system we have to stay in place. even if it will hurt them.
Yes. It's called cutting your nose off to spite your face.
Yes.
Now, here's the antidote, okay, or here's where I operate from, okay? I understand that we're only as good as the weakest among us. And that is why I always feel compelled to reach down and lift up the people who are willing to just, go through this blender again. I try one at a time. I try. Because the weakest among us can get us killed.
Yes, and bless you for it. Like, I've only now recovered, enough to start listening to the news and whatnot. I mean, I was off it. I haven't listened to really news or anything since the election because I was in a dull rage, and I thought you might see me on the news running through the streets. A black man can't stab his toe, much less looking angry all the time. So
exactly, and black women even less. So,
yes, they are. And again, I'm not saying because people get caught up. Oh, you're saying all white people did it.
No,
I didn't do it. I voted hard and I canvassed. If it's not to you, apply. Let it fly. I'm not saying all.
Good one. Like that. Yeah.
It's why I want to thank you for you. I mean, I don't know how you felt off camera, but I didn't feel like getting out of bed.
I didn't either. Honestly,
okay.
I was talking to there's only two of us that do this show every day, and I was saying, I don't think I could do another year. I don't think it's in me. My family is telling me I've done enough. I gotta, get out of here before, really bad things happen to people like me in this environment. And I'm like, I got, and my family's like, you're right. You have to go. This is done. And yet we just said yes to another year.
And
so.
I told Randi personally, and I really, really was feeling her pain, and it was evident. And I said to her, I feel like we need you more now than we ever have. But man, do I understand? Do I understand what you're feeling? It was that close.
And that's why I want to take the time to thank you.
Oh, please.
Because, like I said, I have been just butt crack crazy angry to the point where it was unhealthy. And you guys still do your job, and you probably don't remember because I'm one of them, one of countless thousands you've met. But one of the most enjoyable things was meeting you in person.
Where did we meet?
Yeah, I knew you wouldn't remember. That's okay.
Well, all I have to go on is Kevin. That's what I.
No, I know. I'm just kidding. It Radio Nation. I think that was the name of it. 2009, Obama's inauguration week.
Oh.
And you were very kind to me.
Were we in Colorado?
No, Washington D.C.
Oh, we were in D.C. Okay.
And you went beyond. Because you got a lot of people to meet. You could have just did the simple hi, and there are people crowding around you, of course. Mm-hmm. You could have just done this simple hi and move on to the next one.
Well, I will now because I look so much better then than I do now. So.
Well,
don't expect that from me anymore. I just, I'm embarrassed to be in my own body at this point. So.
Well, that was more than a lifetime because you and the fact that you're still doing this now that you've confirmed, both of you confirmed that you're what a shock. You're human and you felt the same emotions, but you're out here doing what you're supposed. What you can do, not what you're supposed to be.
We've had so many meetings lately trying to let people who distribute the show know that we're going to give 3 months notice and that's all we're going to do. And, we wouldn't just quit on you and we're going to give you time. And then, they just kept on talking. We were talking so much. And then, Brett and I were talking amongst ourselves. And then we just said, all right, one more year. And we just made that decision yesterday. So it's interesting that you called today.
Well, okay. Yeah. Well, if you can take it, and who knows, things.
Know.
History is shown to change on a dime.
I know, and I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try my very best to make it through to next year, and let everybody know that we're in it for chaotic. We're in for a very chaotic 2025, but this too shall pass. I hope that's what I'm looking forward to, because otherwise I'm with you. I'm I got a hot tub and I got a TV. I got Netflix. Got a couple of beers. Really, do I want to go to work anymore? You know what I mean? I deserve a retirement too. So.
Yes, you do. Although you would definitely. I'm sure I'm not the first person to tell you that you would be definitely missed.
Oh well, thank you.
But if it comes to that, in the meantime, I'm going to take my family's coming in, and I will try to
have
enjoy.
A beautiful, beautiful holiday. Enjoy. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah, Happy whatever.
Same to you. Very chaste hug and kiss on the cheek to you.
Oh, that's quite an adjective. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Kevin. I appreciate you very, very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. What a nice phone call. What a great way to end this year. See, now I'll remember you.
Kevin's been calling more and more over the last few months. Every call has been stronger than the last.
I understand. There's been a lot of therapy that needed to go on in all of us. In all of us. I am not above it. I am certainly not below it. I was right in there with you, Kevin. And everybody here that turned it off for a really long time, I know you did. I see it. I see it every day. But, to better times, to a hopeful future, to fighting the good fight and winning. Because remember, we're going to rely on their inability to do things. Merry Christmas.